So in comments with Piro the other day, the subject of kindergarten came up, and that brought back a memory of the story that I'm going to tell you. I want to say this is my first day of kindergarten, but my memory going back that far is so hazy, I don't know for sure. It was somewhere early, and somehow they were asking us to tell about ourselves or something. And I brought up the night the Queen came over for dinner, the Queen of England. And that didn't go over so well. Even the teacher basically told everybody I was a liar. Um, it was a horrible, humiliating thing, and I couldn't convince anybody that it was the truth. But anyway, here's the story. I'm not sure when, I don't remember the actual event, but sometime before this story really gets started, my grandmother and my mother had both told me that we were related to the British royal family. And being 5 years old, or 4 years old, I might have been 4 even, I just tucked that away in my memory as a, well, of course we are. But anyway, comes the summer of 1959, and Queen Elizabeth was going to be in town. You can look it up. She was, in fact. And this is all over television. So I was hearing about Queen Elizabeth coming to town on the television. And about the same time as that was happening on the television, my parents were discussing a dinner party they were having, and Elizabeth was coming. So naturally I assumed that since we're in the same family, the Queen being in town, she was going to come over for dinner. So I don't know how much time there was between one thing and another. I mean, this is so long ago. But anyway, this Elizabeth coming over was a pretty big deal because she was famous. So the night comes, and I remember her. Looked exactly like she did on television. She was, I don't remember, I think she was wearing a black dress with big pearls. And I also think at dinner I made some sort of comment about why she wasn't wearing her crown or something, and everybody laughed. I don't think I got a sensible answer for a 5-year-old. So anyway, that's about all I remember of the whole thing. And then of course came kindergarten, which started within a few weeks after that. So after I was totally humiliated and angry at kindergarten that day, I told my mother afterwards about it. I was just so angry. And my mother said, "Wait a minute. Whatever made you think that we had dinner with the Queen of England?" And I explained to her the way I told you, obviously we had dinner with the Queen of England. I remember having dinner with the Queen of England. And she said, no. Elizabeth is the daughter of a famous baseball player who came from the same hometown as my father, my grandfather. And I heard that and I realized that I was wrong. I had told everybody that we had dinner with the Queen. I believed at the time, and I was wrong. So I just started crying. I could never go back. Oh my God. Can't say it was the worst experience of my life, but it was the worst experience of my life up to that time when I was 5 years old. So anyway, the moral of the story is, just because you know something is true doesn't mean that it is. Oh yeah, and as to whether or not I'm actually related to the royal family, I have no idea really. My grandmother believed it. She had supposedly seen a genealogical record that was being kept by some aunt of hers that showed it, and she believed that. But that was destroyed in a fire in 1928 or 1929, something like that. Somewhere I've got a newspaper clipping that my mom has had about the fire. But all I know for sure is that there was a fire. And that my grandmother claimed that this woman had this record that showed such and such, and who knows how good that record was. My mother probably half believed it. I think it's a stretch myself, quite a stretch. In any case, my grandmother certainly couldn't reconstruct, in what way there was a relation. And my mother had never seen the record. She got it from my grandmother, so my mother certainly couldn't. So, like I say, I think it's quite a stretch.